Now, walk one from campus. How we a carry lot from campus. Come on, tell me walk one. Campus connection, yeah, and that's a one. Hey, so make us on then listen, me tell you this. Students, I wanna make we do this. Oh yes, we create this space just for you. Make we talk about you, make we talk about school, government and politics, sports, academics, anything that concern you. I don't know when love pass through. It's all about the gospel. So tell me what one from campus. Youths are going on from campus. Come on, tell me what one. Campus connection, take a data one. Now, hey, I walk one from campus. And we are carry lot from campus. Come on, tell me what one. I walk one now. Hey, walk one, everybody want
Wagwan.
Boy, welcome one and all to Campus Connection. I am Jonathan Fletcher, and with me is my co-host
Ernesto Samuels, and it is a privilege. We keep saying this. Maybe I need to, I
because it
guess,
is.
another word.
Because it
It's such an
is.
honor. Same thing.
Yeah.
We are so grateful to be here with you one more Tuesday evening, just to
Absolutely.
share on the whole advent of AI, artificial intelligence. We're even talking today with a STEM educator. So I'm looking forward to that discussion as well, coming up in Creative Block. And then, of course, in our main segment, we're going to be talking with Dr. Sheldon Campbell. He's an AI
Mm-hmm.
enthusiast, he's an author, and he is a pastor. So I don't know how the three mesh,
That's
but
an
I guess we
interesting
will see
mixture. It's an
in this
interesting mixture.
episode. So, quite an interesting discussion coming
Mm-hmm.
up. And welcome to all of you, whether you're on YouTube, on Facebook, or you're listening to us on the Love 101 FM band. Right, Jonathan?
Absolutely, absolutely. So in March of 2020, the government of Jamaica suspended face-to-face classes as part of measures to control the spread of COVID-19. It was a very interesting time in the history of our country and the world at large. So by the end of 2019-2020 academic year, face-to-face classes were no longer a thing, right? Physical classes were further suspended at the start of the academic year 2020-2021, and the Ministry of Education issued broad guidelines for what we know now as remote learning. And a lot of that had to do with persons going online through Google Learning Management System. So since then, a lot of our students have been, you know, if they weren't technologically advanced before,
Mm-hmm.
they are certainly much more advanced now based
Mm-hmm.
on how frequent they had to interact with online methodologies as relates to learning. So, with that being said, as my co host said earlier, we're focusing on children and technology. The pros, the cons, the in betweens. Is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? We're talking about stuff like Chat GPT. Anista, I don't know if you've ever used
Yes,
Chat GPT. Yeah, man.
yes,
I use it a
certainly.
lot. I mean, once you learn how to use it, it can be a very powerful tool. Well, both good
Absolutely.
and bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but and I say Dr. Sheldon is in the background, ready and waiting to go. So let's get on with the show. So right about now we have education news and bulletin, and that will be done by Shani Smith, graduate of UA Banking and Finance and Marketing.
Hi, how are you, Jonathan and Anesta? How are you?
We're doing well. We're doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Good, good.
Awesome. All right, take it
Alrighty.
away.
Okay, education news and bulletin for Tuesday, May 15th, here inside Campus Connection. In today's news, Kensington Basic School in St. Catherine was elated when Megan Duncanson was announced a Teacher of the Year on Wednesday, May 10th. The news was shared at a celebration with her colleagues as the educators and the rest of the nation celebrated Teachers' Day. The grade 1 teacher expressed that she was a parent who would always volunteer in the classroom before taking the leap to acquire teaching qualifications. Miss Duncanson further stated that Miss Brissett who served as the principal of Kensington Basic School, saw her potential and further encouraged her to get her level 3 diploma in her early childhood education. Students at Central High School in Clarendon are basking in their first Universal Service Fund USF Information and Communications Technology ICT Club for high schools, which aims at promoting digital literacy and bridging the digital divide among Jamaica's youth. Treasurer of the club, Ryan Richards, stated that the members are very excited to be the first school to have such a club and further added that she strongly believes the club will help with the improvement of students' technology skills such as programming, coding, robotics, and website development. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Albin Hill, noted that the Jamaicans should be prepared to embrace artificial intelligence, AI, as a new phenomenon, which, if properly managed, can be extremely useful. AI is the ability of a computer or computer controlled robot to perform tasks commonly undertaken by humans. Mr. Hill addressed concerns that AI could put some jobs at risk. However, he noted that similar arguments were also put forward with the advent of computers. The minister made this address at a 2-day outsourced to Jamaica conference, stating that through the AI technology will bring some challenges. However, the minister believes that they are capable enough to find a way to manage it. Netball Jamaica announced the recent appointment of two new coaches to the national program. Former Sunshine Girl Aiken Pinnock and experienced coach Phyllis Thompson, effective May 5. And for the bulletins, ISCF Camps presents Discipleship Camp Quest Questions You Encounter Seeking the Truth. This will be happening on August 12th to 17th at Campsite Moorlands, Manchester. Register now for $14,000. Anytime after May is $15,000. Registration information and more can be found at iscfja.com. The Micro University College is now offering 250 scholarships for undergraduate degrees in STEM subjects at the university. Some areas of study are computer science, biology, physics, mathematics, and more. The Jamaican Home Associate, the Jamaican Home Economics Association, rather, will be having its annual general meeting on May 31st, 2023. The location is later to be disclosed. That's all we have for you today inside Education News and Bulletin. I'm Shania Smith. Good evening.
All right. Thank you so much, Shanae.
Yes, sir.
Ready?
Yeah, let's
All
go.
right. We're ready. All right. So it's now time for Creative Block with Miss Cavell Hilton, a STEM educator. You see, we've been using this abbreviation a lot during the show. I would strongly advise you to pay attention to that abbreviation. We may or may not have something up our sleeves. You never know with Campus Connection. But yeah, we are going to be doing that right now. So, Creative Block with Miss Cavell Hilton, STEM educator and education technology entrepreneur. Welcome to the show, Cavell.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Awesome, awesome. So right here we have that you are an entrepreneur with over 12 years of experience in STEM education and training. You're also the founder and CEO of STEM Builders Learning Hub Limited, and you work with students at all levels of education system to build critical 21st century skills such as critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. So you know your stuff.
You
It's
know, I
safe
was just
to
going to tell
assume.
you if you're going to read the bio, it's a long list of
Yeah.
accomplishments that
Yeah,
we
yeah,
couldn't
yeah. You know, I
possibly
had to
get
cut it
through
short. I
in
had to
this
cut it
one
short.
show.
Yeah.
But
Welcome,
certainly
welcome
welcome
to
to
the
the
show.
show, Miss
Thank
Hilton.
you. Thank you for having me.
So you are a STEM educator. Firstly, can you just define what that is? And what does that look like in this post-COVID era that we're in?
Certainly. So, STEM is an acronym and it stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Mhm,
However, sometimes persons refer to STEM as the individual discipline. So, they talk about the science, like the biology, the chemistry, physics that you
Mm,
do at school, and of course,
mhm,
technology, you look at ICT, AI. However, as it relates to the engineering aspect, we don't really do that as much as we should in our schools.
mhm,
So, as it relates to STEM, it's about looking, integrating the different disciplines, but it's also about the approach that we take when it comes to education, when it comes to learning. We
mhm.
should be hands on, we should be practical, we should be the development of the 21st century skills like critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, communication, and creativity.
Mhm.
okay, okay, and
Awesome.
that's a lot to unpack. So let's take our time.
Okay.
So how did you end up in this neck of the woods? What was the inspiration? When did you decide that, you know what, this is what I want to do with my life?
Well, growing up, I always loved the sciences. I was always a curious child. So
Mm-hmm.
I am the ninth child in my family. And so my
Wow.
job, yeah, my job at home was like taking care of the garden and sweeping up the yard. I wasn't
Mm.
washing dishes or cleaning the house. So that was my job. And I was definitely
Mm-hmm.
fascinated about like how the plants would, you would just see them today and tomorrow they're blooming. So I
Mhm,
always had that curious mind to figure out how things work and why they work the way they do, but I didn't grow up seeing anybody being a scientist in my community or environment. The only time we saw scientists were probably on TV. You know, I went to a non-traditional high school, Trenchtown Comprehensive High School, and when I started getting interested in the sciences, I remember one summer using the entire time to study the 206 bones of the human body because I like, yeah, we're going to the bio for the first time.
wow.
Fortunately, when I went back to school, we didn't have a chemistry teacher or physics teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and we only had a human and social biology teacher. So, that was like a big bummer, right?
Mhm,
Mm-hmm.
So actually, when I left school, it really inspired me to become a bio teacher myself. I taught for 7 years. I was looking at Anesta earlier. So, oh, I wonder if she's one of my students. Because they're all around Jamaica. They're everywhere. So, yeah, I taught them for 7 years on all girls school. Right. I may look young, but yeah, I have the years behind me.
wow.
Yes.
That's pretty impressive. And can you just explain to us, because I see here where you have this initiative, the STEM Builders
Mhm.
Learning Hub. Can you explain to us what that's all about?
Right. So as I mentioned before, I was a student that didn't have access to that
Mm.
quality science educator that I wanted. I also didn't
Mhm,
have access to a science lab, right? And so while I'm teaching, I'm realizing that this is not something that is unique to me, but it's something
Yes.
that, across the region and across Jamaica, many institutions, they lack that sort of access. And
mhm,
so I founded STEM Builders Learning Hub, which is supposed to bridge that gap by providing
Mm.
access to persons. So individuals can access tutors through our online platform right all across the world, not just in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
Persons can also
Nice.
access, quality STEM resources. So we have our science kits, which is the
Mhm.
first locally manufactured STEM kit in
Wow.
Jamaica. Yes.
Wait, you're not just going to uh, slide over that. That is absolutely amazing.
Yes,
Congratulations.
thank
Yeah,
you. And so
absolutely.
that is for students at the early childhood level. At the
Mm-hmm.
primary level, we have kids for the primary level students. We have kids for high school students. So it just really span right across the education, right across the different levels of the education system. And I also wrote a book. I wrote a children's book last year. So yes, promoting STEM education as well and helping students to really enjoy science. We want it to
Mhm.
be fun. We want it to be interesting. And we definitely want to, build that curiosity or build on that curiosity that they naturally have.
Mm.
Nice.
Wow, I am impressed. I'm not going to even try to
Yes.
hide it in any way, shape, or form. But now that you are in the field and you've been in the field for a while, based on what you would have seen, with the pandemic and everything, how
Mhm.
has your business changed, or how was it affected, over the past 2 years?
Well, definitely it has changed because originally we were saying, okay, we're gonna be a online tutoring platform, and this idea came around 2013, and person saying no, it's not gonna work because at that time, online learning was not really much of a thing in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
But then in 2020, guess who is relevant?
Yeah.
Right. So in 2020, online learning became the only thing available
Right.
at that time.
Mhm.
And so we were just ready to just jump in. And so we're offering our online classes, we're offering online summer school,
Mhm.
which also included a science kit. So students would get a kit at home, and then we would do the experiments and activities via Zoom. So that was also another dimension that we added. In addition to that, we saw you mentioned the boom, like many persons are doing online learning, online
Mhm.
meetings. But I don't think an area that is talked about a lot is the fact that many teachers are now offering tutoring services and online teaching. So
Mm.
that market starts to get pretty saturated, or it's getting saturated right now. So almost all teachers are now finding it quite easy to just offer that sort of online tutoring to, earn an extra income. So we don't talk about that much in terms of the edtech space and how it expanded during the pandemic. We only talk about mostly, in terms of the students and the devices that they're using. So my company were really able to pivot in the
Mhm.
pandemic and use it to our advantage. And right now we are positioning ourselves to offer services to other edtech companies as well as businesses and government organizations across Jamaica.
That is pretty impressive, I must say. Sultan, it is certainly a pleasure just sharing with you. We'll continue to do so. We're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, more with Miss Hilton inside Campus Connection. Stay with us.
Okay.
Here's why you can't afford to miss the Morning Watch.
I love listening to the Morning Watch because topics are discussed and issues are highlighted that are of major importance, which in turn edify me.
The Morning Watch, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
I like listening to the morning watch. I find it very informative. I find it very interesting. The topics that are covered are very, very wide.
The Morning Watch, thought provoking, insightful, current. Listen for the probing questions with attorney at law Stokely Marshall and the in depth discussion with Reverend Dr. Dylan Toussaint. On Thursdays, the Morning Watch is brought to you by Educam Cooperative Credit Union, providing value through service, and Bashco, the store that gives you more. The Morning Watch, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. The Morning Watch is on the family station Love 101.
Jamaica Central Bank digital currency is now here. Jamdex, no cash, no problem. Step into a future of ease, convenience, and security. Conduct business with your mobile device instantly and without fees. This is how life should be with Jamdex. You catch it free. Jamdex are the real free. Use it to buy your stove or TV. You can buy your shoes or 3 piece. Get the central bank digital currency. No cash, no problem. Jamdex, backed by the Bank of Jamaica.
Okay, where are the campus eyes?
All right, welcome back to Campus Connection. It is certainly an interesting edition. We're talking about children and technology in this Child Month. And we've been speaking with Miss Cavell Hilton. She's a STEM educator And as we said earlier in the show, we cannot possibly go through the list of accolades that are on her record. But suffice to say that she is extremely accomplished. She knows what she's talking about, and she has been in STEM education for quite a while. So, Miss Hilton, before the break, you were talking about just the different things that inspired you to become a STEM educator. What have you seen being the impact of STEM education on even your students and on our society as a whole?
Well, we know, we always say that STEM is the future, and we say that because we recognize that the skills that are needed in the 21st century, being someone that participates in any sort of STEM activity or education, will afford you those skills, right?
Mhm.
And we understand also the economic value of having a STEM education, which is the fact that STEM jobs are expected to grow exponentially in the future, and those are the jobs also that provide the greatest amount of money. So you get
Mhm.
more income, right?
Mhm.
So we understand that importance of it. As it
Mhm.
relates to my students, you find that they become better problem solvers. And
Mhm.
that is something that is important. You know, when we're growing up, our parents used to say you must have common sense. You know, that kind of thing.
Right.
Right. So, but we don't give that as much credit as we should. And so it's important that we understand that even though we give the students the tablets and the different devices, that we ensure that they still are able to develop their minds, you know,
Mm.
outside of that. Because technology is not just a device or like a computer or device. It's anything that
Yeah.
makes life easier. So
Mhm.
exactly,
Mm.
right. So it can be a tool that you utilize to build the skills, like the problem solving skills. So, for example, I have a program on Saturdays, which I call the Little Einsteins program, and that
Okay.
caters to students ages 3 to 7 years old. And
Mhm.
many
Mm-hmm.
times they're teaching me because they come up with new and creative ways, and they're so creative. I
Wow.
tell them to make, I give them problems, and I say, oh, I need an activation powder for something. And they will come up with some really creative ways to do it. So, you know, I always say that our products are
Mhm.
tested by the experts and approved by the experts, which are
Wow.
kids.
So you said technology is not locked up in the devices. It's really
Yeah.
what makes life easier.
Mhm.
So what's next in the world of technology for Cavell? Where do you see yourself heading in this field?
Well, definitely, I'm seeing where I'm providing more services as it relates to coding and programming for students, but also for them to build the technical skills that they needed, such as problem solving and critical thinking. Recently, we participated in the Girls in ICT Day with Flow Jamaica, and we created that coding activity. And it was fun to see the 200 girls right across Jamaica actually learning how to put this code and actually simulating it and making it work. And you know, just to see that confidence in them, because at first when they said it's going to be a coding challenge, they were
Mhm.
all like, ah, this is going to be hard. So
Right.
it's really overcoming the stereotypes as it
Right.
relates to technology and coding.
Mhm.
It's also for us to be less of consumers of the technology and actually start where as it relates to creating the technology, right? So we don't want to just be consumers of it. We also want to be creators. Many years ago, I saw where someone said they type in black man, well, white man stole a car, and Google returned to say, "Did you mean a black man?" So it's about the fact that our future, which is going to be determined by these algorithms and AI
Yes.
technology, if we are not in the conversation, if we are not creators of it, then
Mhm.
we cannot predict what's going to happen to us as it relates to that. So we need a Jamaican to be like a Jamaican Syria, or, you know, make sure you have, you know, some kind of thing. So we
Right.
need that perspective. We need
Mhm.
our unique perspective to be applied to the technology so that it's not just something that we are consuming, but we're creating and we're predicting that future that we expect.
Certainly a very interesting discussion. And just in the next few seconds, can you let persons know how they can get in touch with you at STEM Builders?
Yes, so you can visit our website at www.stembuildersjm.com. And I also want to mention that we have a technology camp coming up and lots more in store as it relates to tech. But we're going to keep some of it for now.
Right,
But
right.
there is lots more in store. You can also follow us on Instagram at STEM Builders JM. You'll find a lot of our pictures, photos, videos of our students doing the various activities. You can also order a science kit for your child. We also offer virtual reality experiences for students and adults alike. So, yes, we offer definitely all the different activities as it relates to STEM: science, technology, engineering, and math.
Nice.
All right.
Wow.
That is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Cavell, founder CEO of STEM Builders Learning Hub Limited, our guest here inside Creative Block on Campus Connection. Thank you and all the very best for the future.
All the
Thank you
best.
for having me. Nice meeting you guys.
Same here. Thank
All
you.
right, thanks.
Impressive.
Yeah,
Beyond
I know.
impressive, even. Listen, boy, I have to do more with my life. I'm convinced after every creative block, every
Uh-huh.
honor roll that we do, I just
Yeah.
have to do more. I have to do
Yeah.
more.
You know what? Maybe we don't need to do more. Maybe
Mhm.
this is our doing more, like
Maybe
exposing these
I
people to
like
the
that.
world.
I
And
li-
yeah, you know,
Look at you making me feel better about
yeah,
myself.
yeah.
Thank you.
You're doing a good job. We're
Yes, we
doing
are
a
doing
good
a
job.
good job, and we should, applaud ourselves accordingly. Oh boy. Boy, wow, amazing. Cavell
I
Hilton,
love it.
founder and CEO.
I
Awesome,
love it.
awesome. Of
It's
STEM
not your
Builders.
typical lawyer, doctor. Not that anything is bad or wrong with any of
It's
those
different.
professions, but I love it. STEM
I love it.
educator. That's what I am. I love it.
Absolutely. And what else do we love on the show? Drum roll,
I well,
please.
I know what I'm loving is about to come up next inside of our
Absolutely.
discussion with Dr. Sheldon Campbell. We're going to be talking about artificial intelligence. I have so
Mm-hmm.
many questions. And one of the things I love is the fact that he is looking at it from the perspective of just spreading the gospel. Like I'm intrigued to know
Mm-hmm.
how and what are some of the strategies that are being employed. And of course, we're going to get into it, but yeah, you guys can sense my excitement already.
But before that, we're going into our I Chose Christ feature.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do that
So
first.
let's have it right now. So this is I Chose Christ, You Should Too by Frederica Ingram, fourth year student of the University of Technology, pursuing a Bachelor's of Science in Occupational Health and Safety and Environmental Management. All right. So we're getting the video ready to be played of Frederica.
I'm not
Seems as
quite
if we're
hearing
having
her there.
some audio. All right. It seems as if we're having some technical difficulties with that video from Frederica, but I'm sure we will be hearing from her either sometime later in the show or next week. In the meantime, we're going to be taking a quick break and we'll be right back after these messages.
Okay, where are the campus heights? See who them
This Wednesday at 11 a.m. on Good Morning Minister, host Minister Robert Morgan speaks with Senator the Honorable Aubin Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce. Remember to call or text in with your comments, questions, and concerns. That's Good Morning Minister, Wednesday, May 17 at 11 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
How does the deposit insurance scheme work? The Jamaica Deposit Insurance Corporation, JDIC, administers the deposit insurance scheme. All licensed deposit-taking institutions are members and are issued with a policy of deposit insurance. For more information on the customer maximum limit for deposit insurance coverage, please contact Jamaica Deposit Insurance Corporation at 876-926-5225. This financial literacy tip was brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy.
Okay, where are the campus heights?
All right, welcome back to Campus Connection. If you're just joining us, we are still celebrating Child Month. You know, May is celebrated as Child Month, and we are focusing on children and technology. Yeah, that's right, children and technology. So ICT, AI, STEM, all of those wonderful
Right.
things. Yeah, we're focusing on them. And we did a campus vox pop. So we spoke to some young people and they had, you know, a few things to say about children and technology. So we're going to be hearing from them right now.
Is technology really safe? Well, technology has the potential to greatly benefit society, but ensuring safety, it can and will remain a critical challenge for us humans. Is the advancement in technology helping or harming our children? Well, on my perspective, I think the advancement in technology it both presents opportunities and risks to our children by requiring responsible guidance and moderation to ensure their well-being and development.
Technology is so important for us navigating the educational space after the COVID-19 pandemic. But what I have found is that parents are not really very cognizant or knowledgeable of what are some of the things that they can actually use to help their children. I would say parents, read up, find YouTube videos to learn about the parental controls on your child's device. It's not a bad idea to have their passcodes and just to check in from time to time. It depends on the age of that child too. So you do want to give them some free reins, but always remember to teach them some good values about not speaking to strangers and simple things like that that I feel are not being taught anymore.
Alright, so the advanced technology is doing both because it's based on the person or the child's choice if him want use the advanced technology for learn or make sense with it, and it's the other child's choice if he want do bad with it. So it's basically both. That's it. That's my opinion.
Artificial intelligence is certainly an indicator of how far we've come, in terms of technological advancement. And while it can be a good thing, there's still the question of security, especially for children, being that they're more vulnerable. And so, while the government can implement, stringent policies in terms of mitigating the negative effects of AI and all of that, I think we need to get back to basics in terms of parenting. It starts in the home. So setting time standards for your children on the internet, dictating what are the apps they're allowed to use and all of that, will certainly play a major role in kind of limiting the negative effects that these apps and artificial intelligence might have.
Interesting perspective there from just many different persons on the issue of children and technology. And we do have just a time of discussion with Dr. Sheldon Campbell. He is an artificial intelligence enthusiast, he's an author, he's a pastor. Miss Dr. Campbell has a bachelor's degree in statistics, postgraduate studies in economics, and an MBA, a master's degree in theology, and a PhD in church history. He's also a former academic dean for all academic departments at the CGST, that's the Caribbean Graduate School of Theology. He's a lecturer, and the list goes on. But specifically for this program, I'd like to mention that he is the author of the book Maximizing Technology, a guide to using ChatGPT and 250 other artificial intelligences to improve society. Wow,
Doc,
interesting. Welcome to the program.
welcome.
Yes,
Thank you
wonderful.
so much for joining us this evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. It's my pleasure. I've been enjoying the program so far.
Awesome.
Nice,
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you. Thank you. I know Anesta is ready to go. I am ready to
Yes.
go as well because this is very exciting.
Okay,
It
who
was
first? Who
just
first?
all right. You go ahead. You go ahead. It's okay.
So, Dr. Campbell, okay,
Right.
let's start by you just telling us a little bit about your book, Maximizing Technology: A Guide to ChatGPT. Tell us a little bit about that book and just some of the main points that came out of that.
All right. Well, I mean, anyone who has been living on this planet since November of last year
Mhm.
would have recognized that ChatGPT came out the end of November last year, and within the first week, it had 1 million users, like within 5 days. By January, it had a staggering 100 million active users,
Mhm.
fastest growth ever in terms of any consumer application. So naturally, the thought came to me in January, the end of January, that is, why not write a book about ChatGPT? But then I thought to myself, well, everybody probably is going to write a book on ChatGPT. So how could I make it a little bit different? So I thought of, well, let's not just focus on ChatGPT alone. Let's look on other artificial intelligences. So and hence 250 AIs. I mean, obviously, I can't get into all of that this evening,
Mhm.
but
Absolutely.
but so I was a missionary for several years, and one of the things that we talked a lot about was the seven spheres of society, government, business, education, media, arts, religion. So the point is, and the family. So the point is, when I thought about the book, I said to myself, but what could be a way in which I write this book in a way in which it can help anyone, irrespective of where they are.
Mm.
So for the pastors, they could go to religion. For the business community, they can go straight to business. You were talking about government, they can go to government. For those who are the artists, they can go to entertainment. So the, for education, we'll be talking with students later. They're, one of the spheres of society is education. So can't really go into all of that this evening. But one of the things as I wrote the book, I also started to think about, all right, but even if you're in business, there are certain departments that are, you're going to want to use AI in. So I wrote about the 10 most useful departments, HR and finance and these kind of things. So the book is quite comprehensive. I mean, it's a
Mhm.
300 page, it's a 300 page book.
Mhm.
But yeah, so for the most part, I believe it's a book that anyone, you can pick it up at the back of the book. I do explain about the different AIs and how you can use it in the different spheres of society. So it's a resource book and a book that I think will really help persons. But in the book, you wouldn't necessarily know that I'm a pastor per se because I wrote about religions. I didn't necessarily just focus in on Christianity, but certainly on
Mm.
Love 101 this evening, you will hear me share the gospel. So thank you,
But
sir.
all right.
Yeah.
So just to zone in a little bit, because we're talking about using AI, and I remember earlier this year
Mhm.
Um, in the news, there are some persons talking about how detrimental AI can be as relates to students and learning because they can use AI to cheat and all of that. More specifically, Chat GPT. What
Okay.
are your thoughts as relates to AI in the classroom?
Okay. So again, I've spent quite, years teaching at UE, teaching at CJSC and different educational institutions. I've also been on the other end. I've worked with accrediting bodies here in Jamaica, going into institutions and accrediting their program. So just wanted to know that on both ends, I've been on that side. So,
Mm-hmm.
so let me tell you, I actually and I don't think AI is going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. So since
Mm-hmm.
it's not going anywhere, I believe we have to rethink how we assess um, even something like an essay. So you just mentioned the fact that ChatGPT can write an essay for you. Yes, it can.
Mhm.
No. So the question is, are we then going to just rule it out and say ChatGPT is not allowed in schools when all when in a few weeks or months you may with what's happening with Google. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Google Bar just came out. Bing has now come out. So all of these major players, big tech companies, are coming out, and so, a regular search that you would normally do on Google is going to be AI
Mhm.
assisted, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and I have all of those. I have Google Bard, I have the new Bing. I've been playing around with all of them, and I'm telling you, there's no way schools going to be able to restrict. So what we
Right.
need to do is to think about new ways of assessment. I know this sounds radical. So the thing is, now in schools, what we typically do is, I remember growing up, primary school, what you learn it one time, you two times, and all the way up to your 12 times. You remember we used to look on the back of the exercise book and you have it 12 times, how to memorize.
Right.
All right.
Right.
In school, that's how school can feel. And even, I've been in higher education and I taught in higher education. We still requiring people to memorize all kind of stuff, even in the healthcare society. What AI and these technologies are going to let us do is move from some of that kind of memorization to
Right.
critical thinking in applying the AI. Also, the more complex and creative aspects in the learning. So what happens is you can't just tell a student no, write an essay. You're going to be write an essay plus plus plus. Also, but for the persons who want to kind of think, well, all right, I'm going to be able to somehow restrict, you're going to have to be very, you're going to have to be very smart with it. Maybe you have to say, well, all right, write an essay on what happened in class yesterday, and you have to nuance it so much to the
Mhm.
point where the AI wouldn't have no context for it. No, I don't know how that's going to work, but the point
Right.
is, um, we have to reassess. We have to reassess how we grade, and we think through assessment.
So what I hear you saying is that schools or education system overall cannot possibly regulate or use of chat gpt, any other form of AI assisted learning. So what needs to be done is for us to change the way that we assess. And I personally am a firm believer in that, because whereas a person might not be able to recall the information that they've
Mhm.
learned over a period of time, whether it's one semester or whatever, they might actually know that information. They just can't
Right.
have it right then and there. And so just having settings where probably that information needs to be applied
Yes.
in a very practical sense. That I believe really is a good solution. But Dr. Campbell, I just want to shift a little bit to the use of AI assisted technology for the spreading of the gospel, the good news.
Okay.
Being a pastor, I'm sure you know the importance of just the word of God getting out there, getting
Right.
to people. So how do you see these two working together, AI and the spreading of the gospel?
Wow, that's pretty interesting. I didn't expect you to ask that question, but that's an excellent question.
Welcome to Campus Connection. It's
I'm
good to have you.
telling you.
Okay, all right. So
Because sorry to cut you, because there, people have their theories. It's the mark of the beast. It's all
right,
of these, there's stigma out there. So in
right.
light of that.
No problem. I mean, I was actually on Love last week, and I kind of addressed a few of those. But let me jump in. So, all right. First of all, let me start with pastors, because I figure they might be the ones who might be the most resistant to using AI. All right. I would say, as a pastor, I would never use ChatGPT to write my sermon because I just think that's just not
Mhm.
cool. I don't think that's right.
Okay.
However, I do think you can use it in the ways which you would probably have used Google in the past. When
Mhm.
I'm looking to prepare my manuscript, I would look on stuff like, all right, what if I can find some illustrations about a particular verse in the Bible? Now, before I would spend maybe an hour combing through Google and reading all kind of stuff. Now I can put in a prompt and I say, hey, could you just give me an illustration or maybe an example of this verse that might be applicable to this particular demographic? And it would give you several choices. And I'm like, okay, this may be useful. And then I would obviously tweak it. But so what I'm saying is I think ChatGPT can help you in terms of researching things for you. Sometimes it can even help in terms of even summarizing things. Sometimes I write things. I'm like, I wonder, how could I distill this down? No, if you came to my house and you saw my library, I have a lot of books and I tend to use a lot of commentaries and stuff. How I look on ChatGPT, and this is kind of interesting, is I look on it as another person who comes into the room and having a discussion or a commentator.
Mm.
I would say, hey, what's your thoughts on this verse? No, that doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to take
Use.
right,
Mhm.
because sometimes it tells you things which it doesn't make any sense. Sometimes it actually has some very interesting views, which I think, okay, this might be helpful. So what I want you to recognize is technology, and it can benefit us, but you're not going to just use it wholesale and think that is going to not have issues. No, but let me address the whole mark of the beast and technology. So my thing is, certainly there is a big concern. I actually wrote an article yesterday on LinkedIn where I was saying that the church must speak up in the AI race. And what I was pretty much doing was challenging the global church to think through this space. I found that a lot of businesses are talking, governments are talking, scientists are talking, not really hearing the church a lot talking. And when I hear it, sometimes you might hear this mark of the beast thing. The problem is the scientists are telling us that AI possibly in the future could recognize that what it's smarter than us and it turns the script. So instead of listening to us, it turns the script and it now overpowers us and annihilates humans. Well, the good thing is we know how the book of Revelation, praise God, I can actually talk the gospel. We know how Revelation ends. When we look in Revelation 20, Satan is defeated. When we look in Revelation 21, we see, the new earth. We see Christ is victorious. So guess what? Christ is going to be victorious. We humans are not going to be annihilated by AI. I can tell any
We know how it ends.
we know how it ends. So no, but yes, in Revelation there is this talk about this beast and this beast getting this, power and stuff like this, and persons would say, well, the only thing it knows possibly that could do something like that might be an artificial intelligence. No, no. To be
I agree with
honest,
that.
whether that is something that will happen in the future, we can't know. But all I can say is, how do we responsibly use technology right now? Well,
Right.
you know how we do it. When we were in the pandemic and many churches couldn't meet, what were people doing? They were using the Zooms. They were using the technology to spread the gospel. So we have to be very careful when we're talking about technology and we kind of demonize technology.
Correct.
It's a tool. That's what it is. certainly one of the things I think the church must think through, again, this is what I spoke about in my article yesterday, is how to be one of the contributors to the discussion. So I think we should contribute to discussions in terms of ethical guidelines, in terms of regulations, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of policy making. In the past, the church has been very, very active in human rights and many things. We have, when we look in Jamaica, we saw how integral the church was in the abolition of slavery. So the point what I'm trying to make is we have a voice and we must use it.
Powerful, absolutely powerful.
Yes.
Boy, I don't know. I'm looking at the
And we
time and
bring
I was
him
like,
back,
boy,
producer.
no, no, for real, for real. Because I have so many more questions,
We're
but
just scratching the surface.
we have so many things to do in the show. Boy, Doc, look out for a call, because
Yes,
we
Yes,
have to
please.
bring it back. We have to
yes,
bring it back on the show. Thank you so much, though, for joining us this evening. Really do
yes,
appreciate you being
yes,
here.
Yes,
And I really
insight.
am looking forward to talking to you again.
yes.
Hopefully next week or the week after, but we have to make something happen.
All
Yes,
right,
yes.
all right. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right, cool, cool. Yeah, man. Dr. Sheldon Campbell there, AI enthusiast, author, and pastor, talking to us about technology, chat GPT, AI, all of those wonderful things.
Yes.
It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. I'm not going to lie. It's a lot. I was getting really excited. I was just sitting and listening
Oh,
to
producer. Wait,
all right,
wait.
let's get to it.
Producer
Wait, let's
says
see what we're
part
saying. What
two
we're saying.
is on May 30.
May 30. That not
That's
bad. That not bad.
right.
So, Doc, this is an open invitation on the airwaves.
Right?
May 30. We want to dive in
Oh,
some more into this conversation. So, May 30,
Yes.
do you accept, sir?
do
Yeah,
you?
yes, I
Jamaica
Ah,
and
think.
the world is listening.
All right, all right. Normally I check with my wife for these things, but I would say tentatively I
That
would
is
say
very
yes.
smart. Yeah, yeah, man. It's
okay.
tentative. It's tentative. All right.
All
We're
right, yeah,
looking
man.
forward to part two. All
All right,
right. Cool, cool,
yeah, man.
cool.
All right, bless you.
All right. Let's continue into the show. We have some more um in our campus Vox Pop, and we'll take
Yes.
those right now.
I think the advancements in technology is both helping and harming our children. Helping to an extent, based on the amount of time spent using technologies like, using iPhones, iPads, those stuff can really affect children and their focus and stuff. But it also helps in the sense that it provides a lot of information that's not really readily accessible, and can't really you can access more information like outside of school and using technology like YouTube and stuff. But it's harming our children, it's making them more susceptible to cyberbullying and those stuff as stated above. So the ways that parents, I believe, can protect their children from these instances is really monitoring what their children are doing and what they're doing on their phones, iPads, laptops, whatever. And there are apps that help us to track what our children are doing on those stuff. So just monitoring them and ensuring that they're not using these programs and apps that makes them susceptible to those negative things.
Alright, so the advanced.
For me, it is helping because even when it comes on to our studies, we can simply go online and we can get information quick at hand. As it regards to cyberbullying, it also depends on how you use social media when it comes on to that. For IA technology, is it really safe? Is it something that's just coming up about? But for instance, I have been trying it out. I have not like given it a prompt to write an essay or so forth, but I've been using Snapchat um, AI that I can text to and they'll text me back. I ask simple questions like, "Where are you from?" And you would obviously know that it's a robot that is talking to you. But is it really safe? That's a question that we really should ask ourselves. And for now, I am not sure, and that's just the truth.
Very interesting. You're asking me my views on AI, artificial intelligence. Hmm. What I would say is don't play with snakes. Don't pet a snake. Because I remember the story of a lady who had a pet snake and she thought the snake became so loving as the snake was just wrapping himself around her each time and wrapping himself around her. But when and the snake was not eating, and when she brought the
As with technology,
Yes. In terms of the advancement in technology and whether or not it helps or harms children, I would say that it has a dual effect because we see where there are positive and negative impacts of this advancement in technology. One is that it allows for us to be more productive in terms of our schoolwork and our assignments. We have access to so much software that can help us with accessing information, getting things done in a productive manner and efficiently, as well as even sharpening uh, our creativity skills. Right, but we also find that it can also harm us in that we're continuing our dependence on technology, which is not necessarily good for human development. And in terms of the protection of our children, we have to remember that we need to educate our children when it comes to the cyberspace because many of our young people think that, oh, because we're on the internet we can do whatever we want. There are ethics when it comes to operating in the cyberspace, ethical behaviors that must be adhered to, and we have laws and legislations in place to ensure that that is so. So we have to educate our children that, look, you're not supposed to be doing certain things, you're not supposed to be saying certain things on the internet, bullying people, and there are certain activities too, especially when it comes to scamming, because we've been promoting this scamming culture in our society, which we need to stop. We need to show and teach our children what is right in terms of mores and morals, and let them know what is wrong as well. That's the only way we can really curb that in our society.
All right, there you have it. Interesting views from um, Campus Vox Pop on children and technology. And speaking about children and technology, we have a special giveaway right now, courtesy of STEM Builders Learning Hub. And it's
Right.
a STEM learning kit. And you can find them at shop number 12, Pond Rock Plaza, Hillshire Main Road, and that's in Portmore. Telephone 876-846-4082. So right now, if you want to win a STEM learning kit sponsored by STEM Builders Learning Hub, please let us know, what does the abbreviation STEM means?
This is too
STEM.
easy.
STEM. You can call us or you can send us a WhatsApp message. You can call us at 876 um 876-968-83278, or you can send us a WhatsApp message at 876-997-3125. So you can go
First person
ahead.
to call. Come on, hit the phone line
First
up.
person to call, first person to send the WhatsApp message. And we're asking a very, very easy question.
I
What,
mean, if you were listening at the start of the show, you get the answer
hello,
to this question.
what does the abbreviation STEM means? That's all
STEM.
we want, you know?
STEM. STEM.
Yeah. 876-968-8327, 876-968-8328, or you can send us a WhatsApp message at 876-997-3125. Seems as if this giveaway will have to happen after the show because we're out of time, unfortunately. But you can still call, you can still send your message via WhatsApp, and let us know what does STEM mean, and you can win for yourself a STEM learning kit sponsored by STEM Builders Learning Hub. And of course, last week we did a giveaway with Spathodia
Here we go.
gifts. I can't, I can't bother with this, you know. But Ashika Ellis won a basket for her teacher, Miss Spencer from Watsonton Primary School, and it was delivered last week. So remember, you can follow them at Spathodia Gifts, and you can contact them at 876-779-7171, to get the gifts for any occasion. That is it for Campus Connection this evening. Thank you so much for making it Campus Connection.
Bye
Shall
bye,
we thank
everyone.
our people? No, we're not going to thank our people. Oh, we have a caller. Can we take the caller? All
Yeah.
right, caller. Quick.
Science, technology, engineering, and math.
Yes.
See it there? Caller.
Ding
You
ding
are,
ding.
yeah, man. We're going to take your information off the air. Congratulations to you, sir. Yeah, this has been Campus Connection. Thanks to all our guests, people working behind the scenes, and we will see you next week.
Okay, where are the campus heights? Students are strap up in a price. We I want to go on campus. Young people are go hard from campus. Come on, tell me back one. Campus connection, yeah, that's a one now. Yeah, walk on campus. How we are carrying hard from campus. Come on.